Good morning and welcome to Inside Politics Sunday. I'm Pamela Brown in for Manu Raju. We have a lot to get to this morning, but I want to start with this breaking news from overnight. 179 people were killed in South Korea after a passenger jet crashed at Muan International Airport. The plane skidded down the runway after it appears there was a problem with the landing gear and then crashed at the end of the runway and burst into flames. 2 crew members were rescued from the tail of the airplane. Let's go now to CNN's Mike Valerio, who has been following this disaster from Seoul. Mike, what do we know about how this happened?
Well, Pam, that is the central question here. What caused the landing gear to fail, leading to those dramatic, honestly, heart-stopping videos that we've been watching all day here in East Asia, and now everybody else in the United States and around the world is waking up to? So the key to finding out, Pam, what might have happened here perhaps lays in the hands of the 2 people who miraculously survived. We're talking about 2 crew members who were sitting back as far back as you possibly can be, essentially underneath the tail section of the plane. So in terms of how this all unfolded, just after 2 a.m. local time in Bangkok, Thailand, this Jeju Airlines plane takes off bound for our corner of the world in South Korea. This is an airline that has a great safety record. It's been founded in 2005, a low-budget air carrier. So if you're in the market to go to a vacation spot in this section of Asia, East Asia, Southeast Asia, you might choose this airline, Jeju Air, which has never had a catastrophe on this scale. We fast forward to the 9 a.m. hour, just about 3.5 hours south of where we're standing, and there is a radio communication received from the airliner, from the control tower, saying essentially, there are birds in the area. Beware of the potential for bird strikes. It's 2 minutes later, Pam, that a mayday call is signaled from the airliner, and then 4 minutes later, it crashes. But unclear how anything like a potential bird strike can lead to the flaps not being up on the aircraft's wings. The airliner landing on the runway, pretty close to the end of the runway, and certainly why the landing gear was not lowered is still a mystery at this hour.
Mike Valerio, thank you so much. Still a lot to learn, clearly. And joining us now to break down more of this is aviation expert Miles O'Brien. So, Miles, we know the plane sent out this mayday 2 minutes before the crash after a warning about birds. How do you assess that? Could a bird strike be the reason for this gear failure?
Maybe, Pamela, but this is a real mystery. A lot of aviation experts are scratching their heads on this one. Now, this is an airport that is on the coast, and it is routine for notifications by air traffic control to go to aircraft indicating bird activity might be a problem. So I don't want to go too far down that road without considering other options. There is video which seems to indicate they lost their right engine, potentially, which might have led to that mayday call. Now, the sequence of events which put them on that runway without landing gear and without their flaps, in other words, they were not at all in the landing configuration, which would have slowed the airplane down. Even if you didn't have the landing gear operative, you would have wanted to slow down that aircraft as much as possible. And I should point out, if you lose an engine, that doesn't mean you lose the ability to put down the flaps or, for that matter, the landing gear. The landing gear can be brought down even with a complete hydraulic failure simply by pulling on some emergency switches, which allow the gear to fall down gravity. So it's a real head scratcher right now, Pam, as to what the sequence of events were. Clearly, this was a flight crew that was managing an emergency. There was a mayday call, but how is it that it ended up on the runway pretty much in the cruise flight condition? No flaps, no slats, no landing gear.
So the plane hit something at the end of the runway. It's not yet totally clear what that was. Why was something at the end of a runway to begin with, though?
Well, this is, to me, the most tragic part of what we just witnessed. There's an antenna system that needs to be lined up with the center line of the runway. It's part of the instrument landing system that airliners use to get you on the ground in that dark and stormy night. It's called the localizer. It just basically keeps the airplane on the center line, and those antennas need to be where the runway center line is. Now, what's unusual about this and dangerous is those antennas were built on top of a mound with reinforced concrete. So it was a rather significant barrier right at the end of the runway, which didn't give the airliner much overrun capability. In the US and frequently at many other airports, what they would do is put those antennas as sort of breakaway antennas, kind of frangible towers that the airplane would have gone through and would have caused much less damage. Also in the US, at more than 100 runways now, we have these engineered blocks at the end of the runway, which are designed to collapse under the weight of an aircraft. And that obviously was not present here either.
Miles O'Brien, very sad. Thank you.